Let's start this story with an introduction to the bullies who are about to get a taste of their own medicine. The first guy in front of us is Jeong Chel, and there's the leader of this crew, Park Kang-wook. These troublemakers spend their days bullying weaker students, extorting money from them, and repeating the cycle. Their current victim is a poor kid named Dong-gi, but his luck is about to change. Rumors have been spreading about a new transfer student who's been wiping the floor with every bully in the school. He just recently took down a few guys who were trying to steal food in the cafeteria, and as fate would have it, that very transfer student just walked into the classroom where these guys are currently beating their first victim of the day. As for his introduction, his name is Doyle, and right now he's looking for the so-called boss of the school. He turns to the thug in front of him and asks if he's the boss, but instead of giving a straight answer, this guy makes the mistake of running his mouth. And for that, he earns himself a slap so powerful that it scrambles his brain inside his skull, sending him crashing to the floor. The girls in the classroom are absolutely astonished. A guy with this much guts, this much presence, he embodies the ultimate powerhouse attitude. Not to mention, he's incredibly handsome. The friend of the guy who just got knocked out jumps up, clearly not happy about Doyle making moves in their turf. Without a single shred of hesitation, he starts yapping nonstop, questioning Doyle's audacity. He asks Doyle if he even knows who he's messing with. Well, Doyle admits he doesn't. After all, he just transferred today. The henchman, realizing words aren't enough, tries to throw a punch. And that's a big mistake. Doyle catches the guy's hand midair and twists his fingers so hard that he lets out a blood-curdling scream. While calmly continuing to twist his fingers, Doyle repeats the question, "Are you the boss?" The lackey, unable to endure the excruciating pain any longer, quickly points to his leader, Park Kang-wook. Of course, Kang-wook is not too thrilled that his own underling just gave him up, but before he can react, Doyle delivers another slap so hard that the second thug is down for good. With the path now cleared, Doyle walks up to Park Kang-wook and asks the same question, "Are you the school boss here?" Not surprisingly, Kang-wook makes the same mistake his lackey did, running his mouth unnecessarily, so Doyle gives him a well-deserved punch right across the face, making him stagger backward. Instead of taking the hint, this unfortunate guy decides to fight back and throws his own punch. But the way Doyle dodges that punch is unbelievably cool. Now it's Doyle's turn to show what he's got. His fist connects perfectly with Kang-wook's face. The second one also finds its mark. And to finish things off, he delivers a brutal kick that sends the guy flying straight into the window, leaving his face a bloody mess. The students watching are absolutely stunned. Kang-wook is left battered, bruised, and with an ego just as broken as his face. With the job done, Doyle makes his exit with the same ferocity he came in with. Dong-gu, still barely able to process what just happened, takes a shaky breath. He never expected to witness something like this. Meanwhile, the girl in the back who's been filming everything is totally smitten. All she can think about is how incredible this new guy is. Later, Dong-gu meets Doyle and makes a request to wipe out all the bullies in the school just like he did in the classroom. But Doyle isn't taking the job without the necessary compensation. You see, it hasn't been long since he came to Korea, and he is completely broke. If Dong-gu wants to use his strength, it isn't free. Dong-gu argues that this is a righteous cause, that strong people should protect the weak. That's just how things should be. Well, Doyle doesn't buy into that philosophy, nor does he have time to argue about it. His demand is simple, no money, no work. But Dong-gu is desperate and tries to plead one last time. He and his friends are living a life of misery. Not a single day goes by without them getting beaten. The worst part is that if they report anything to the teachers, they just get bullied even more.
For Dong-gu, every day feels like wandering in endless darkness with no light or hope. But that was until yesterday. Seeing Doyle take out those bullies like they were nothing was the first spark of hope he'd seen in years. So he begs him desperately, but Doyle remains unmoved. He gets where Dong-gu is coming from, but he makes one thing clear. A man needs money to survive. And besides, he's already got his own fair share of problems to deal with. Hearing Doyle talk about money, Dong-gu remembers all the bullies who used to beat him just to get cash out of him. He finally explodes in frustration, fed up with people messing with him just for money. It seems Doyle has no choice but to explain his circumstances. You see, Doyle's father is the head of the world's top killer organization known as Blackhead, and Doyle was born and raised there. But some time ago, his parents got divorced because his father was a toxic man who always made his mother cry. So, with no other choice, he and his younger sibling went to Korea with their mom without asking for permission. This, of course, enraged their father, who, in an act of revenge, blocked all the accounts under their names, leaving them with no money. While Doyle had planned to live in the tallest building in Korea, that all went down the drain because he was broke. With that said, he proceeds to walk away, because today is his interview at Burger King, and he doesn't want to blow this opportunity. As he's saying all this, that girl who's fallen head over heels for Doyle is eavesdropping from the sidelines. Donggu, meanwhile, isn't sure if he should believe this story, but on the other hand, this guy doesn't seem like the type who makes ridiculous jokes. Regardless, Donggu offers him 50,000 won for each person he takes down. Well, the offer is enough to make Doyle stand still. Donggu isn't sure if he offered too little and wonders if he should have added extra. But contrary to his expectations, Doyle takes the job without a second thought. Meanwhile, the girl is still watching Doyle like a hawk. Later, we cut to a group of thugs chilling under a gazebo. They've heard the rumor that Park Kang-wook got beaten by a transfer student. This guy is amazed that one single student was able to beat Kang-wook and his two lackeys single-handedly. As for this guy's introduction, his name is Park Ju-young, the judo club captain. Park Kang-wook was a good underling to them, who extorted money from others and paid a tax to Ju-young. But now Ju-young fears that he won't be able to eat more pizzas because their money supply has been cut off. Then there's another guy who shares the same thoughts. His name is Park Ju-dong, vice captain of the judo club. They're currently planning to take down that transfer student who doesn't seem to know how to mind his own business. But it looks like they don't need to make any effort to find Doyle because he's walked right into their territory to have a one-on-one with them. We also see Donggu hiding under a horse mask. Before Doyle engages in a fight, Donggu fills him in on how dangerous these guys are. Kang-wook was just their underling. While these guys are the real deal, they're considered the top bosses of Simon High School. The judo twins, Park Ju-young and Park Ju-dong, are trying to become national athletes so they keep their records clean and use Kang-wook for their dirty work. Kang-wook is the one who earns the money by bullying others, and if he doesn't provide enough, they'll just beat him up. But as you can imagine, these introductions are unnecessary for someone like Doyle. All he wants to know is if these guys are his targets. And we also notice that the girl who is falling for Doyle is hanging around with the judo twins and still seems to be obsessing over him. She's watching the clip she recorded of him over and over. Her name is Seo Mina, by the way.
She's clearly obsessed. Seeing how she's fixated on her phone, Ju-dong is curious about why she's so invested in it. Whatever she's seeing, he wants to see too, but she flatly refuses. At that exact moment, we see Doyle coming in like a wrecking ball, landing a solid knee smash right on Ju-young's face. The impact is brutal, and Ju-young is knocked out cold with a single hit. The other brother quickly lunges at Doyle, but he remains calm and composed, as if he's not scared at all. His nonchalant attitude throws the guy off for a moment. He wonders if Doyle has backup to give him this much confidence, but before he can process anything, he's rocked by a punch so hard that his nose splatters. But things are about to get even more brutal. Doyle swings his leg with lightning speed, aiming straight for a very sensitive spot. That strike is so overwhelming that it cracks the guy's composure. The explosion of pain is so intense that his soul momentarily leaves his body. With a final punch to the head, Doyle seals the deal on the spot. Mina, on the other hand, is practically in awe watching this powerhouse smash all these bullies, and once again she can barely contain her excitement. With the two guys down, Doyle earns 50,000 won for each person. The next day, not only did Doyle rack up some money, but his presence and aura also earned him the title of the strongest man at Simon High School. Brochures about the recent exploits of our hero are being distributed, which is more of a clear threat to all the other bullies at the school. Whoever dares to go against the new king of fighters will face their doom. Doyle is currently being escorted by Donggu and his friends, like the king he is, all to expand his influence and attract as many eyeballs as they can. Doyle has no objections to what Donggu is trying to pull. So long as he's getting paid, he's fine. And for the record, Doyle has to charge extra for this parade. As he's counting the money he's earned, he notices that the amount he received isn't what he was promised. He's sure he took care of 4 people, including the 2 judo brothers and their henchmen. He wonders if those other 2 guys don't count. Donggu clarifies that he only requested the elimination of the judo twins, but Doyle isn't having it and demands Donggu cough up another 100,000 won. After all, Donggu is from a rich family, so even 200,000 won is just pocket change for him. Donggu suddenly stops to question Doyle, asking how he knew about his family background. He thinks Doyle only approached him because he knew his family was rich. To get context, we cut to the past, where a few of Donggu's friends mention how rich his family is. So, Doyle simply states that the entire school knows, not to mention it was Donggu who approached him first. With that said, Doyle demands the 100,000 won Donggu owes him, and this amount does not include the charges for the parade. With no other option, Donggu just happily flashes an OK sign. We then cut to Mina, who is staring at the brochure once again, unable to help but admire our boy's looks. Her friend also admits that the transfer student is indeed handsome, and it's no wonder why every girl in the school is staring at his picture. Hearing this, Mina gets annoyed and enraged. To her, it feels like all the other girls are staring at her property, and she just can't stand it. She quickly snatches the image of her crush out of one girl's hands and threatens her with death if she ever dares lay her gaze on her man. One by one, Mina collects all of the brochures the other girls in the classroom have. As she finishes swiping all of them, she suddenly notices that one of her friends, Jang Hun-woo, wants to see her. Later, under a shady bridge, we meet a blonde guy named Jang Hun-woo from Chow High School. This is actually the next target Doyle is supposed to take down. As for his introduction, Hun-woo is hailed as the king of Southern Seoul. Then there's another guy from Ilyoung High School, and he is Pura Young Chol's subordinate. As an executive member of the 12 Nations, he is undoubtedly powerful. Doyle wants more details regarding this 12 Nations that Donggu speaks of, but Donggu reminds him that this is a topic for another day. Currently, their main focus is Jang Hun-woo because this opponent is someone they can't afford to underestimate.
After all, this guy became the champion of a major boxing tournament not just once, but 3 times. With a physique and instincts far beyond an ordinary person, even the judo twins who fought him together didn't stand a chance. Furthermore, the scariest thing about Jang Hongwoo is that he is cruel by nature. In simpler words, if this guy sets his sights on someone, he makes sure to harass and push his opponent to their absolute limit.
And once he snaps, there's no telling what he might do. To exercise precaution, Dong-gu decides to watch the fight unfold from the sidelines. And if things escalate, he will make sure to report it to the police immediately. But before Dong-gu can finish talking, Doyle is already out and about, ready to take these guys on. We then cut back to Hongwoo himself, and Mina is also there in his company. Hongwoo has just finished beating up her male friends because she didn't pick up his call on time. But Mina doesn't care about these guys and refuses to even consider them her friends. The poor boys who took a serious beating because of her can only curse her under their breath. Now back to the main reason she was summoned here. Hongwoo wants her to go on a date with him. He even promises to give her the best time of her life. But it looks like his dating plans have to be put on hold because a glass bottle is heading straight at him, courtesy of Doyle. Hongwoo simply ducks down and saves himself, while Doyle sighs in disappointment since he missed the mark. Now he has to fight this guy, which is such a drag. Mina begins blushing at the sight of Doyle once again, while Hongwoo is absolutely furious and demands to know who this guy is. Mina, meanwhile, starts getting the wrong idea that this guy came to save her. By now, even Doyle notices this strange girl always showing up wherever he goes. Calling it just a coincidence would be a long shot. The only thought that crosses his mind is that she must be observing his movements. Not to mention, she is always staring at him with weird gazes, so he finally addresses her. He grabs her by the face and makes his threat clear. While he doesn't know who she is, if she's here to cause trouble, she'll end up in a bad way. But this girl is more than ready to be in trouble at the hands of our boy. She straight up gives him the green light to do it. Let's not forget about Hongwoo, who is absolutely furious to see our boy laying a hand on the woman he likes. In a fit of rage, he balls up his fist and charges at Doyle with incredible speed. The punch he's about to land is his signature move. His speed is so fast that even Dong-gu, just watching from a distance, is losing his mind. But Hongwoo's momentum is quickly broken by spit. Someone just spat at him. While he manages to safeguard his face from getting hit, he isn't so lucky when Doyle swings his leg and delivers a precisely aimed kick right into his gut. The impact is brutal, leaving Hongwoo gasping for air. As he is dazed and disoriented from the kick, Doyle decides to deliver another hit. This time, he intends to smash a stool over the guy's head. The poor guy has no time to dodge the oncoming attack. First it was spit, and now Doyle literally pulled a stool out of nowhere. But it looks like the stool was just a distraction. Doyle only uses it as cover before delivering a devastating uppercut. Not only is it painful, but it's also humiliating. Hongwoo is seriously losing it at this point. In blind fury, he swings a punch with lightning speed, but the punch just zips past as Doyle leans back slightly, dodging it with ease. Though the punch was sharp and precise, it was so fast that it literally blew away a few strands of Doyle's hair. Doyle remains unshaken. Without a moment's delay, he balls up his fist and throws a punch straight into Hongwoo's gut. That gut punch is so overwhelming that Hongwoo immediately senses his ribs cracking. But Doyle assures him that his ribs aren't broken yet. The real damage comes when he slams the stool directly into Hongwoo's ribs, and this time, it literally cracks them. His breath gets stuck in his lungs. The once mighty fighter, considered the king of this area, is now nothing more than a beaten-up punching bag.
The other kid who is getting bullied is also in absolute awe. Hongwoo, on the other hand, is struggling to breathe. Now that Doyle is done teaching this guy a lesson with his fists, there's only one thing left to say. But he forgets what it was. Dong-gu had told him to deliver a warning to bullies telling them not to mess with the innocent or face the consequences. Since Doyle can't remember the exact line, he decides to say something even more colorful, something far more threatening and scary. Doyle makes his threat crystal clear. If this guy ever dares to mess around instead of living quietly, or if he acts up and ends up standing before him again, Doyle swears he will tear apart everything this guy loves. And after ripping them limb from limb, he will make sure to finish every single one of them. While Dong-gu is losing his mind over the deadly threat Doyle just issued, Mina, on the other hand, is going absolutely bonkers with excitement. All she wants in life is to be on his team. The next day arrives, and in a private gym, another group of bullies is working out while mercilessly beating their victim. Suddenly, a guy rushes in with urgent news. One of their underlings, Hongwoo, got his lights knocked out by someone from Simon High School. The guys in the gym aren't thrilled to hear this. After all, Simon High School is at the bottom of the hierarchy. It's hard to believe those bottom feeders are trying to rebel. Among them is Im Jong-bom from Ileong High School, which is ranked 4th. The next day, Jong-bom gathers his underlings from Simon High, ready to take down the gang responsible for hospitalizing Hongwoo. However, he notices that their numbers are unusually low and demands an explanation. Kangwook explains that a few of their guys got hospitalized while trying to steal food in the cafeteria. But Jong-bom isn't interested in small fries. He wants to know about the twin judo masters. Once again, Kangwook delivers bad news. Their fight ended badly, and they're also in the hospital. Jong-bom is absolutely livid and delivers a devastating punch straight to Kangwook's gut. As far as Jong-bom is concerned, what this guy is reporting is nothing more than nonsense, and he's not in the mood for stupid jokes. But the poor guy insists it's the truth. It's no surprise that Jong-bom doesn't know the full story, as it's been a while since he last checked in. However, his lackey's persistence only infuriates him more, and he prepares to slap the poor guy again.
That's when Kangwick finally blurts out that it was the transfer student who did all this. Every recent incident involving their gang members traces back to that one particular transfer student. Finally, Jongbom's rage subsides, replaced with burning curiosity. Now he's absolutely dying to meet this new guy who has everyone on edge. Meanwhile, Mina, as usual, is watching a video she secretly recorded of Doyle eating in the cafeteria. In the video, he notices her recording and forcefully shuts the camera off. We then shift focus to the classroom where she's seated. The teacher is looking for potential candidates for the film club. As soon as the announcement is made, students frantically raise their hands, eager to join. The teacher is pleased by their enthusiasm, assuming the film club must be popular. However, Mina has quite the opposite reaction. She can't even fathom that the bookworms who usually bury their faces in textbooks are suddenly showing interest. She already envisions herself walking alongside the love of her life. The film club is held in high regard among all activity clubs, and she refuses to let any other girl take the spotlight. Meanwhile, somewhere in the school, Doyle is also thinking about Mina.
He's curious about why she's always stalking him and wants to figure out what her deal is. The only information Donggu has is that she was born in Shinlim-dong. Since Doyle has never seen her before in his past, he begins to suspect that she might be a spy sent by his father. Donggu changes the subject and asks which club Doyle plans to join. In response, Doyle expresses interest in the anime club. Of course, this makes zero sense to Donggu. The anime club is a holy haven for nerds, yet Doyle is the complete opposite of a typical fan. That's when Jongbom shows up, accompanied by his lackeys. Seeing our boy in the distance, Kangwook confirms Doyle's identity as the transfer student. Jongbom grows increasingly annoyed at how his foolish lackey keeps bringing up the judo twins' injuries. It just sounds weird. Nonetheless, Jongbom refocuses on Doyle. He steps forward, his entourage following closely behind. While Donggu is still rambling about anime club activities, Doyle suddenly spots the thugs and, without a moment's delay, sprints toward them with the agility of a cheetah. Kangwook starts cowering upon seeing Doyle charging straight at them. While Kangwook knew this guy was intense, he didn't realize he was this intense. Seeing the target running at them, Jongbom quickly takes a stance, ready for battle. He takes the initiative and swings first, but his punch misses its mark. He tries again, yet Doyle effortlessly dodges with slick ninja moves, zipping past Jongbom entirely. Jongbom is left utterly bewildered. Why did this guy just ignore them and run past? The answer becomes clear when we see Mina in the distance. Doyle surprises her with his sudden appearance, causing her to panic. All the brochures she's holding go flying into the air as he pins her to the ground, landing on top of her. While this moment feels like a romantic encounter to the obsessive girl, Doyle is strictly business. He begins his interrogation, demanding to know why she's stalking him and constantly taking photos of him. Furthermore, he wants to know if his father sent her to trail him. Of course, this love-struck girl completely misunderstands the situation, convinced that Doyle is planning to introduce her to his family. Meanwhile, let's not forget about Jongbom, who looks absolutely infuriated after being ignored like this. The guy dashes toward Doyle, attempting to smash his head in, but our boy is quick. In a split second, he grabs the guy's leg and pushes it away. It seems like Jongbom has finally managed to get Doyle's attention, and that is not a good sign. The thug swings a punch, but Doyle ducks and avoids it effortlessly. Jongbom refuses to relent. One blow after another, he continues his barrage of attacks. Despite his efforts, not a single one manages to connect. Doyle, on the other hand, decides it's time to retaliate with a punch of his own. But fate has other plans. Just as he is about to strike, the student head of Simon High School intervenes, stopping the fight. His name is Doyle, and he commands them to knock it off. Jongbom is far from thrilled to see this guy crashing the party. Nonetheless, he lights a cigarette, but not before throwing one final threat at Doyle, warning him of the consequences that await him tomorrow. With that, he takes his leave with his lackeys. Then Doyle does something unthinkable, something no one saw coming. He literally smashes Jongbom over the head, right in front of the student head, and that single hit is enough to knock him out cold. On the sidelines, Kangwook begins sweating bullets, convinced that Doyle has just dug his own grave. Even Donggu, who had literally been paying Doyle to do this, is left in complete awe. As far as he's concerned, Doyle hasn't even faced a mid-level boss yet, and now he's gone and attracted the attention of the real deal. We then cut to a shady apartment where a tattooed guy is torturing his victims. His session is suddenly interrupted when his phone rings with news about Jongbom getting taken down. This guy is from Ilyong High School, and his name is Im-jon Chan. We finally learn about the infamous group known as the 12 Nations. They are 12 of the most feared delinquents in the country, notorious for their brutality. But to Doyle, the 12 Nations are nothing more than a bunch of thugs. He can't understand why people make such a big deal out of them. Right now, there's something worse than those 12 thugs, the punishment he's currently dealing with. Thanks to Doyle, he is stuck mopping bathrooms for an entire week. The teacher overseeing his punishment is secretly pleased with this turn of events, glad that this arrogant transfer student is getting a taste of discipline.
Meanwhile, Donggu is trying his best to convince Doyle that the 12 nations are not to be taken lightly. By laying his hands on Jongbom, Doyle has just provoked them, and now Ilyong High School will be coming for him. Ilyong is ruthless.
They don't sit quietly when one of their own gets hurt. But Doyle isn't impressed. As far as he's concerned, no one is truly ruthless unless they've actually taken a limb. Besides, those guys were the ones who came to him and started the fight. Still, he personally blames Donggu for putting him in this mess in the first place. After all, it was Donggu who wanted these bullies to be taken down. Now this whole situation is really starting to get under Doyle's skin. He's fed up with all this nonsense. So fed up, in fact, that he decides to quit altogether. He'd rather get a part-time job and earn some real money instead of dealing with this endless cycle of fights. Donggu is not happy about this decision. He reminds Doyle that he's being paid way more than any part-time job. Plus, there's even severance pay, which is a sweet cherry on top. But Doyle is unmoved. He tells Donggu to get lost. Left with no choice, Donggu eventually leaves. As he walks down the road, he recalls getting slapped by one of the bullies. At the time, Donggu had simply glared back, and when the bully realized that Donggu was now affiliated with Doyle, he had quickly started sweating and tried to reconcile. Now Donggu feels like his short-lived days of happiness have come to an end. He will have to return to the hellish life he's known all these years. He remembers the brief moments of joy, being able to spend time with his friends, doing whatever he wanted. No one was there to boss him around, extort money, or beat him unnecessarily. But now it seems he has no choice but to embrace that hell once again. As he walks, a mysterious guy suddenly appears, slinging an arm around his shoulder as if they're best friends. Donggu has no idea who this guy is, but the stranger clearly knows him. He recognizes Donggu as the rumored friend of Doyle. By now, Donggu knows that things are about to take a very bad turn for him. Later, that same guy drags Donggu to Jongbom, who immediately begins interrogating him about Doyle's whereabouts. Of course, Donggu insists that he doesn't know anything. His response only angers Jongbom, so without a second thought, he delivers a brutal kick straight to Donggu's face, causing his nose to burst with blood and sending his glasses flying. Jongbom only demands that he make a simple phone call and summon Doyle here. Quavering, Donggu quickly dials a number, but instead of Doyle, he dials up the helpline number. The guy in the red jacket notices this and immediately threatens Donggu. Realizing what he's done, they resume beating him mercilessly, pummeling him until he has no choice but to endure it like a faithful, obedient dog. Meanwhile, we cut to Doyle, who is casually attending a job interview at Burger King for a part-time position, all while his former employer is getting the beating of his life. The interviewer asks Doyle about his hobbies or any special skills he possesses. While Doyle doesn't have any experience in part-time jobs, he states that he knows close combat and how to throw daggers. However, the interviewer mishears him and asks why he would throw swagger. Doyle bluntly clarifies that he meant throwing daggers. Hearing this, the interviewer is now convinced that Doyle is a bit of an oddball, even though he seemed perfectly normal at first glance. Nevertheless, the interviewer acknowledges that Doyle's skill is certainly an interesting one, but unfortunately, they have no use for someone who can throw daggers. He expresses doubt about whether Doyle would be a good fit for any position. Just then, two large guys enter the restaurant. One of them is clutching his belly in pain. He is sad that the burger he ate from this place caused his stomach to get upset. He even shows a photo of some random burger claiming it belongs to this restaurant. The picture clearly shows a cockroach inside the burger, which is clear proof that the food is contaminated. Hearing this, the other customers who had been peacefully enjoying their meals begin to check their own food to see if the claim is true. But it turns out to be nothing more than a harmless olive. The shop owner tries to calm the raging man down, maintaining his politeness to avoid any unnecessary trouble. However, the man refuses to listen and continues ranting about how the trash burger destroyed his stomach.
At that moment, Doyle casually walks past the man, discreetly bumping his shoulder against him. The furious man shoots him a deadly glare, but Doyle remains completely unbothered. Meanwhile, we cut back to the group interrogating Donggu. They check his phone and quickly realize that Donggu doesn't even have Doyle's number. Clear proof that they aren't friends. Jongbom, frustrated by the lack of progress, can't help but feel annoyed. He had been waiting outside the school's main gate all this time, yet somehow they failed to notice Doyle. Annoyed, Jongbom turns his attention back to Donggu. After delivering one final kick, he walks away with his thugs. We then shift to Ilyong High School's bullies and their leader, Im Jung-chan. Standing beside him is his fellow schoolmate, Choi Hyo-chang. They are talking about the two friends who went to grab some food for everyone from Burger King, but they don't seem to have returned, so they decide to check on them. Now that they are passing by Burger King, it is then that, unbeknownst to them, Doyle crosses paths with them. But since they don't recognize Doyle live face, they simply walk past. Once they enter the restaurant, they see their two friends who went to fetch food are now sprawled on the ground after getting beaten up like piñatas. Of course, Jong-chan is not thrilled to see his lackeys down for the count. He quickly scans the room to find the guy who could have done this, but unsurprisingly, the culprit doesn't seem to be here. This is when Jong-chan remembers one guy he crossed paths with outside Burger King, and his shoulder had stains of blood, so he quickly orders his lackey to catch that punk who just passed them.
the one wearing a Simon High uniform. To emphasize the urgency, he bellows this order at the top of his lungs. We then cut to Doyle, who is casually walking down the street, thinking about how he has just used up all the money he had for the month. Even if he gets a part-time job, he won't get paid until next month, so he needs someone who can pay him up front. And when it comes to upfront payment, only one guy comes to mind, Donggu, who, as fate would have it, is standing right in front of him. It looks like Donggu had been intentionally walking toward Burger Kim to check on Doyle, and he is relieved to see him safe and sound. Before Doyle can ask about the substantial injuries Donggu has sustained, those guys arrive on the scene. The big guy introduces himself as Choi Hyo Chang from Ilyung and demands that Doyle listen. He continues yelling, ordering our boy to come over before things escalate. Doyle wants Donggu to confirm whether the 50,000 won per person offer is still on the table. Of course, this makes Donggu crack a smile, though he makes it clear that there won't be any advance pay. Meanwhile, the big guy grows impatient and annoyed that Doyle is ignoring him. So he lunges at our boy, only to get slammed onto the ground. The impact is brutal, and it gets even worse when Doyle relentlessly throws one punch after another straight into the guy's face. The toughs who came with him feel a chill run down their spines, while my guy remains as cool as a cucumber. And for this display of action, he also wants Donggu to pay a performance bonus. Later, after taking care of those guys, the two of them have some noodles together, where Doyle once again reminds Donggu about the performance bonus. He then boldly demands 5 million won, promising that in return, he will annihilate Ilyung High within a week. Hearing this, Donggu bursts into laughter as if Doyle just told him the funniest joke ever. First of all, Donggu wants to know why he wants so much money in the first place. Doyle reiterates the same story about his father freezing all their bank accounts, and, just like before, Donggu still finds it hard to believe. Anyhow, Doyle also wants to ask a question in return. He wants to know why Donggu lives such a miserable life. After all, he hails from a rich family and has everything, so why does he go around getting beat up all the time? Doyle has already looked into Donggu's family, and they are seriously influential. All Donggu has to do is transfer to some private school that doesn't have any bullies. Furthermore, why don't Donggu's parents feel worried when they see their son all beat up?
Well, Donggu reveals that they are both out of the country right now. Eventually, Doyle proceeds to leave after packing up some takeout food. After they exchange goodbyes, Doyle is on his way. This is when he also encounters that same obsessive girl, Mina. We then cut back to Jung Chan, who is staring at the devastating sight of his lackeys all banged up. He is absolutely furious and quickly dials the number of Kong Wook. Kong Wook is sitting on the toilet when he gets the phone call, which spooks the hell out of him. We then get more insight into one of the 3 worst delinquent schools in Seoul. They control the southwest region, and the school is called Ilyung High. Some students enroll due to financial issues, but most of them have juvenile criminal records or are just complete troublemakers who cannot enroll in regular schools. This is why it is called the worst school ever. It is so bad that students can be seen smoking inside the school. In fact, the school even has a designated smoking area where all the students gather. And as for the teachers, they are completely under the control of the students. They accept bribes and turn a blind eye to all the illegal activities happening within the school grounds. There are even rumors that the principal himself is a former gangster. However, the biggest problem at Ilyung High is a guy named Pai Chol, one of the members of the 12 Nations. For the longest time, Ilyung High was fractured into multiple factions, but Chol united them all through sheer strength. Nowadays, he oversees operations such as bike thefts, insurance fraud, extortion, threats against restaurants, and even more heinous crimes. We learn all of this as we stand right outside Ilyung High because Doyle is about to raid the place. While he's literally armed with a rifle, the ever-goofy Donggu is once again rocking his donkey mask. More than the flashy mask, Donggu is more concerned about the massive gun Doyle is holding. Doyle assures him that it's only loaded with rubber bullets. After all, human bodies are a resource. The more you preserve them, the better. As they move forward, Donggu once again tries to convince Doyle to reconsider before it's too late. Reports of violence at Ilyung High are so frequent that if someone were to call the police, they just laugh it off. But rather than deter Doyle, this fact actually makes him relieved. It works in his favor. But Doyle's unsettling relief only makes Donggu even more worried. Soon they stumble across 2 students. Doyle immediately asks if either of them is Chol, but instead of giving a simple answer, the guys start acting aggressive. And as one might expect, Doyle has no patience for unnecessary talk. Without hesitation, he shoots one of them in the face with a rubber bullet. The other student, standing beside his injured friend, rushes in to throw a punch, but Doyle effortlessly takes care of him with a well-placed kick. As if that wasn't enough, he then shoots the guy in the foot before using the gun itself as a melee weapon, slamming it down on the guy's shoulder, which shatters the collarbone. The poor guy can do nothing but groan on the ground, while Doyle looms over him like a reaper, demanding that he bring Chol here as soon as possible.
Meanwhile, we cut to Jongbam, who is still nursing his sore neck from the hit Doyle had inflicted earlier. Right now, he's performing his usual duty, collecting money from students. Suddenly, his red-jacketed friend comes rushing in panting heavily as he reports that the guy from Simon High is here. Naturally, this piques Jongbam's curiosity right away because he was just thinking about him.